Hello, everyone. Greetings
Hello.
and salutations. Have you seen
finally
Heather's?
back.
Have you seen Heather's, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know why, but the movie's been on my mind recently. I probably need to rewatch it. Have you seen Beetlejuice yet?
No, I haven't.
I'm seeing it online everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I haven't seen the original one.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it in forever.
Maybe we should check it out watch it together, because I've never seen it. I know it's iconic. I mean, Winona is iconic, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I've seen most of her hit films, like Edward Scissorhands. She was in that,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Girl Interrupted, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather's is just Heather's is, I don't know, it's probably one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that movie is very good.
And Christian, what's his name? Slater was just...
Christian Slater, yeah.
Oh my God. This is where...
I know.
Is he just... it's so wrong to thirst for this man. So wrong.
No,
But
I feel it. I know what you mean.
This is ENTP chaos. You know what I mean? Like, that's...
I was just going to say I'm pretty sure he's probably an ENTP, which explains so much.
Exactly. It explains my attraction period.
Yep.
The extreme always makes an impression, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I guess that's why I was subconsciously choosing to start tonight's episode by saying greeting and salutations. Yeah. So,
And also,
yeah.
Heather's.
Right. Oh my God. Oh, I haven't even. I'm. You know what? Everything's so subconscious here, but yeah. Freudian slips. What can I say? Right. So yeah, tonight's episode. I mean, hopefully you'll find it interesting. Feel free to stop me. If you have any questions, whatever. Interrupt away.
Oh, yeah. So let me just preface by saying this is somewhat new for me. I know the very condensed version of this story that we're about to tell.
Right.
But I don't know too much, so this will be like me kind of going in blind, same as the audience.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah. So I predicting that some of the people who listen to this episode, they know what I'm talking about, maybe superficially, because so essentially there was, in a nutshell, before I really get into it, the first server that we had a bunch of people there, and within that group we had a smaller group that really clicked well. And since the original server was kind of starting to go to shit pretty much, we wanted to start our own server that would be a bit more coherent. So
Right.
And then we added, once we started that other server, we added more people that were more focused on books, MBTI talk, all the stuff that we're interested in, basically.
So just for clarification, most of the story takes place over like Discord and YouTube, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those
Okay.
are the two platforms that things were kind of going back and forth on them. But yeah, so I'm going to start by saying before I actually get into that, I found this quote that has just really influenced me. So I would like to read it, and this is how I would actually like to start this episode. And it goes like this. You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. This is from Bird by Bird by Aunt Lamont. So I always go back to this quote. I've heard it years ago, and I always go back to it thinking that, if people should be held accountable for the things that they do. And this is just, a general statement. People feel so empowered and untouchable behind a screen, behind a keyboard. and so at liberty to tell you things that they would have never dared to tell you face to face. And obviously it's very cowardly. But yeah, let me just start by saying that there was this guy. Also, disclaimer, all the people that I'm mentioning by name, this is how I knew them, but that specific name. I'm not intending to expose anyone. This is strictly for entertainment. I'm not looking to advertise anything.
Now, are you changing names?
No. Okay. I'm literally going to use the people's names the way that I knew them, right?
Okay.
So these are the names that they went by.
Yeah, it may or may not be their actual name.
I mean, some of them not. I will mention, if I think that this is someone's real name, then I will mention it. Okay. Right. So I met this. I didn't meet him, but I came across this person's YouTube channel. His name is Gareth, and he lives in England. And he's I guess you could say he is a booktuber, but so most of his content was book related when I first came across his channel, and he was covering all these books that are really, really good books, but also controversial. So, for example, it's the subgenre is transgressive fiction, right? So stuff like Chuck Palahniuk's Fight Club and Lolita's
Usually when I think like booktuber, I think very sanitized, very like PG. Most booktubers keep things very PG on their channel. This is kind of like, I would say, more on like the fringes of booktube.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It was very fringe. Like he had, I think that when I first came across his channel, he had like 5K subscribers. So nothing major, he's not like super famous or anything.
Right.
But let me just give you like a brief introduction to transgressive fiction. I mentioned works like Palahniuk's Fight Club, Lolita, Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho, Welsh's Trainspotting as well. Okay, so transgressive fiction is a genre of literature which focuses on characters who feel confined by the norms and expectations of society and who break free of those confines in unusual or illicit ways, right? So it's very juicy. Like if you're into that sort of thing, it's really, there's something addictive about it as well. And more importantly, you can find in transgressive fiction a lot of criticism about today's society. And of course, the greatest pieces are the ones that are timeless, that you look back on, for example, such as Lolita, and they will always be relevant because the themes are timeless, right? Right. So anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. This person I came across, as always, his channel, and I really liked it. And the reason why I really liked it, not just his choice of books, but he's very articulate. He is very charismatic, I would say. He went to acting school. So just that sort of person, if you can imagine. And so it wasn't just, covering great books, being super articulate about it. And like you said, it was a fringe thing. It was really different than any other booktuber that I can think of.
Yeah. I would say from what I've seen, it doesn't feel it's not very scripted. Like, I feel like a lot of booktube is very scripted reviews of books. It feels very honest, or like more like raw reviews of things. Exactly,
yeah. A lot of the time, especially with the more successful channels, you almost feel like, even if they're not actively trying to, you feel like they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, I don't know, I think that especially with books, it's supposed to be something that is very pure. Like, excuse me sounding so naive right now and idealistic, but I don't want to, hear about like your promotions or whatever, I don't mind it that much, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of it has become like a business to these booktubers, and I get it. I really do. I mean, the grind, but I don't know. It was just. I mean,
different. Most are influencers first and foremost. They're just there to.
Yeah, they're looking to make money.
I'm going to talk about books, but also here is today's sponsor. Use this referral link to get 10% off your order. Like, you know.
Right. A VPN subscription.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Here's a Skillshare link to get a discount on your subscription. Yeah. Yeah. We know how it is.
Yeah. So it was just very, very special. And there's another booktuber that had very similar picks. And what that did to Gareth, I think, this is just my interpretation of the situation, it was constantly in the back of his mind. And, you know, I've met a lot of fucked up people in my life, but Gareth's tendency to self-sabotage is just next level. Like, I've never seen anything like that. Whenever there's something good going on for him, it's like there's a small voice in his head saying, I better fuck this up now because I'm gonna fuck it up anyways. So better now than, you know, later along the line. It's just, it's insane. And you'll understand when we get to it why I'm saying what I'm saying. But I feel like since this other person had very similar picks on their channel, and he has, I think, like 500K or something that crazy, then the comparison was inevitable, and it was almost like he felt like he was in a race with him, and he would constantly look over his shoulder or like beyond his shoulder because he is supposedly ahead of him, right? Because of all the... Now, the thing about this other YouTuber, you know, the one that is super successful, and I think that many of Gareth's subscribers would actually agree with me, that the other YouTuber, his videos looked nice, but he was dull as fuck. He was so boring. And, you know, when you're watching a book review, it's not about the book as much as it is about the reviewer. You know what I mean? Because like your thoughts and your insight is what makes the review, not the actual book. I mean, sure, the your choice of book definitely says something, but what you make of the book, that's all you. You know what I mean? So like you can watch 2 book reviews on an extraordinary book or an extraordinarily shitty book, but the way that you choose to go about it, the person, the reviewer, that's the majority of it, right?
Right.
And I try checking out this other guy's YouTube channel, and his picks are great, but he's just so boring. He's just boring to listen to. And I really don't get it, like, how he is that successful. And I feel like when you're watching his videos, like, they look professional. Yeah. And obviously he's got, you know, crazy sponsors. And they're very aesthetically pleasing. You know, he sits in the background and everything's so well organized. It looks good. It's nice to look at, but he's painful to listen to, at least in my opinion.
You might as well be reading a Goodreads review at that point.
Right, with all the gifts. That was just terrible. Terrible. So anyways, I came across his channel. I really liked it. And he had a small grain of like subscribers, fans, I don't know what to call it. And it was just really interesting to kind of delve into his world because all the people that he brought together, once you got to know them, you started realizing, okay, if we're all here for the same reason, we're all attracted, you know, I'm using quotation marks, but we're all attracted to the same things, it means something about us. Like, there's a similarity between us, you know what I mean? Right. Like we're all similar in some sense. And you had people from all over the world, right? You had subscribers from United States, from England, you know, all over the place. And so right around that time, they also started. So Gareth brought together a group, like they started a podcast. I'm not going to name it because I'm pretty sure you can still find it online. But it was very, very different. And I think that, at least at first, it was a massive success. And the people on the podcast, it was Gareth, there was Cody, an American, and there was James, who also lives in England. Now, Cody is, he's got a child, he's got a son that's got to be like 12 or 13, something like that. And I think that he's like in his mid-30s or something. He's also a writer. Gareth is a writer. And he was talking about books. And while he was writing his book, which we will get to.
We will get to.
Yeah, we will get to. When he was going through the writing process, he didn't just put out book reviews, but he was also talking about the writing process and kind of giving tips and stuff like that, which I thought was a really good direction for the channel. So Gareth is a writer, Cody is a writer. I actually bought Cody's book, was really interesting. It's about American economy and the whole like real estate and like renting houses versus buying houses, and you know, just the impossible situation, especially for young people. You know, you can't afford housing, basically. It's just insane what's going on. It was really interesting, really enlightening. Like I didn't know much about American economy, but it's really interesting. And he grew up, I don't know if to call it poor, but he was definitely not rich. So when you get, you know, kind of your average Joe, but he's not average because he's very, again, like he knew what he was talking about. But giving, you know, the average Joe a voice in a form of like a book, it was just really refreshing.
Average in a sense that he wasn't born into like privilege or like an upper class. Yeah,
so definitely like the average American. And he is, I don't remember where he's from, but he's not like from New York or California. He's from a place that is also average, you would say, you know, not just one of those boho places that people know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then there's James. And James was the youngest one, but funnily enough, he was also the most level-headed. He was like the adult in this situation. He was like the supervising adult. He was 20, I think. He was 20. Okay. And he was in university at the time. And
the rest of these guys are like mid-30s, correct?
So Gareth should be 38 now, 39 even. But back then, we're talking like 2-3 years ago. So 35, 6.
Like mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah, and Cody as well. So they had this podcast, right? And it was so freaking funny. Now, I didn't mention this, but one of the reasons that really got me into the podcast and Gareth's channel is the sense of humor and the insight, and it met me at a certain point in life where I just felt really, really lonely and unseen. And I feel like when you're in this sort of situation, like when this kind of feeling grabs you, and it's not something that goes away after a week, right? It's a period of time, and it takes time to grow out of it. Now, it wasn't as extreme as in my teen years, thankfully, because at a certain point in my life, I was suicidal. Like, as scary as it is to state it, but it wasn't like that. It was just, I don't know. It was a period of sadness.
Yeah, like a low point, but not the lowest point.
Right. Yeah. lower than usual, I would say. And then
Yeah.
it kind of takes you places that you don't expect to get.
You're having a quarter life crisis.
Yeah, every quarter, like once in 3 quarters, I get that. So, yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird time that I felt like very disconnected from the world. I'll tell you what. It was because I started going into programming, and I chose the wrong language. Now, when you're off to a shit start, and it came after a time that, because I was studying something else originally, and then I thought that I could get into programming through that, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna study programming. Like, what am I doing here? And then I started with Java, which was just very bad. And you know, and I was trying to force it as well, just because of my ego, because I was thinking to myself, you're a smart person. How the fuck are you unable to crack this? Why can't you crack this? And it's just, you know what? I don't know. Like, I feel like rational people don't believe in energies and all that bullshit. But it's like the universe again and again proves to me that if something doesn't start easy for you, then it's not going to continue easy. And it's not going to end.
Going to ask, are you one of those people who, if you're not instantly good at something, then it makes you want to give up immediately?
It doesn't make me want to give up, but sometimes it makes me want to try harder. And the thing is that it can get me to a point of self-destruction when I'm, you know, at a certain point, like I'm telling myself, it's kind of like gambling, you know what I mean? Like you dig your grave a bit deeper every time, and then I just catch myself and I'm saying, okay, look at all this energy that you invested, all the time that you invested, and it's not yielding. Like, this is not what you expect to get from it by this point. Yeah. So maybe just reroute. So that's what I was doing. I was rerouting, but I was more lost than, you know, recalculating my steps. I just felt really lost, and I was, I don't know, like out of touch with everything. And then I was listening to the podcast, and these guys, their sense of humor, just listening to them talk, it felt like the people that I used to hang out with in high school. And this is also a kind of a phenomenon, like it's a problem in my eyes, that when as an audience, like if you're watching, say, this YouTuber or whatever, like it gives you, after a while, it gives you a false sense of familiarity with them.
Oh yeah.
Right? And yeah. And it's kind of and then you contact them, which is the next step that I'll get to, and they have no fucking clue who you are, but you're already feeling so close to them, right? Yeah. Because you've been watching them, you've been listening to them, you've been consuming their content a lot, and you know, they, on their part, they're just sending this content into the ether. They have no idea what's going on, who's watching it. Yep. How their content is being perceived. This is also something that is very scary, because you're putting yourself out there, your opinions. You don't know how someone else is going to process it. So, yeah. And I was listening to the podcast for a while. It started, you know, kind of becoming more and more successful. Like, nothing crazy, obviously. It was always, I think, around, you know, a few hundreds or a few thousands of views, like nothing more than that. But it just brought together a very tight-knit group of people. And then, I don't know, I decided that I wanted to add all these guys on Instagram and kind of express my support, I guess. So I did that, and it's very unlike me to do something like that, to be honest. I'm usually not the type of person that was like, hey, listen, I love your podcast. That's just not something that I would do. it literally gave me anxiety to reach out to these people, even though they are, you know, strangers. Like, I'm not supposed to care what they think.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It kind of sounds like almost like a parasocial type of relationship that you were developing, like, with these people.
It's just so weird, you know. It's weird. It doesn't feel natural. Like, this is not how things are supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. But we live in, you know, introverts in internet era. You know, what are you gonna do?
And I think it's easy for people to fall into that too. I mean, that's even today with like celebrities, you know, people like they fall into that parasocial relationship where they kind of just they almost feel like they're developing some kind of like, even though they don't know them, they're kind of developing like this.
Exactly, it's a one-sided relationship in your head. Yes. It's so weird.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
You know, so anyway, I added all 3 of them, like their separate accounts, and I DM'd all of them. And they were all really nice and gracious about it. And then around, that was also the time that I joined Gareth's Discord. Mm-hmm. It was called The Dumpster Fire. And I should start by saying that he was almost never there. Like, he was the admin, and then he had a couple of moderators, and he was never there, essentially. Okay. So it was just a bunch of people talking, and you know, you had all these channels talking about books, movies, TV shows, whatever, people uploading selfies, yada yada.
So it was almost like a little community forming in his space, but he was just not present.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I joined, this was, so I don't remember exactly, but I think I joined in around, I think it was summer, like maybe July or August 2022. And yeah, I joined the Discord, and I started, you know, talking to people, and that's when I realized, wow, I have a lot in common with these people, just like the way that they think. You know, a lot of them were INTPs there, like, and NTs, a lot of them. You barely had any feelers, which makes sense when you know Gareth, because he is the type, very unhealthy, but he is the type, and so naturally this is also the type that he would attract. It's just, I mean,
and also based on the type of content he's putting out, that makes sense that those are the personality types that would be
100%. Like that Nietzsche existential crisis, the world is shit, what are we even here for? That type of deal. So and it was great for like a couple of months, but then things started shifting gradually. We had a lot of trolls coming in, and unfortunately Gareth's content was also starting to shift. When he first made his channel, I believe that his first book reviews were shot in Spain. I think he had a girlfriend, and he was living with her in Spain, and then something really shitty went down. I think that she cheated on him, I'm not sure, but something terrible went down between them, and it just, I don't know, like, it sparked some inner, you know, rage towards female or whatever. Like, this was his villain arc, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like things from what you said went off the rails after a certain point.
It just became very shitty very fast. And you can kind of see it too, like in his videos. So gradually he started leaning more and more towards black pill content and just incel stuff, like a lot of videos about incel dom and, you know, just all these social phenomenons.
As a woman in this space, how do you reconcile with that?
So the thing about Gareth, and this is very tricky, when you first listen to him, he makes perfect sense. And so this is the honey trap. that gets you there. This is why we're calling this episode How I Almost Got Sucked Into a YouTube Cult, right? Because this is how it starts. It starts with you thinking that you stumbled upon something very real, very true, very refreshing, very, you feel like you met your people, and that's how it was, basically. So where was I? So the Discord, right? Yeah. It was great for a short bit of time, and then his content was starting to shift. Less and less book reviews, which sucked because I was 100% there for it. Yeah. And I really do think that his book reviews were great, but the problem is that, I guess, and I get it, as a content creator, like, you expect to see results, and sometimes you expect to see results very fast, and it just doesn't work like that, especially with the YouTube algorithm. Like, you have to persevere, and you have to upload regularly over a long period of time, and then you start seeing the increase. But you have to be persistent, or else it's just not going to happen.
Right.
If you're gonna be flaky, might as well not do it.
Yeah.
And I think that not only the fact that he didn't see results fast enough, but also this other YouTuber that I mentioned that is very successful, just seeing him covering basically the same, like, making basically the same content, but having, a
much bigger audience.
A huge audience, right? I understand it's debilitating, but it just sucked because like a big portion of that grain of people that were following him, like very loyally following him, were into books. They came for the books. They stayed for the books. And when he started straying from that, and this is also a problem because, and a problem in it, and it's almost like a gamble because you gain an audience for a certain content. If you start deviating from that, what's going to happen to said audience, right? They might not stay. But he started sharing, I guess, more and more about his real life as well. And it took me a while to see it, mostly because someone opened my eyes. We'll talk about that. Anyways, so I guess I'll just present some of the characters, try to give you an idea of who these people are. So there's Melissa. Right now, I'm going to mention these people's ages back then, right? So just add a couple of years automatically. So Melissa is
what matters the most is their ages at the time.
I know, this is so bad. Okay. Foreshadowing. Yeah, so there's Melissa. She is a 19-year-old student from Mexico. There's Tegan, 17 at the time, from Australia. Both of them are just kind of spineless, obviously, Zoomer generation. Zero personality. They read great books, and then they sound like the people that are old enough to read these books and process them the way that an adult would, right? But they're just, they are basically echoing older people's opinions, essentially. Very anti-woke, anti-feminism. And there was a guy named Patrick, also in his mid-30s, works in the world of academia. I believe he was a professor or something. Also, like, Gareth legit has a drinking problem. And this guy, Patrick, he lives in England, but every year he would go on vacation to France, and then he would send Gareth wine. So, yeah, feeding the addiction, I guess. It's just, this is just getting better. I like brace yourself. And then we have Kyle, Precious Kyle. You know him from the server.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where is he from? America.
No, Georgia.
Georgia,
yeah.
Right.
Georgia Peach.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's got a great ass, but so Kyle, yeah, bless him. Kind of a conservative. I think he would define himself as a conservative, kind of. I've known Kyle for like 3 years now, and I still haven't decided if I think he's smart. I feel like overall he's an idiot, but he's got his moments. Like sometimes he will say something that will completely floor me, and I'd be recalculating and say, hold on, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe like I've misassessed the entire situation. But then he would go back to being his idiot self, and I'd be like, no, this guy's stupid. Yeah. He also he mostly, if not only, reads stuff that were written in the 19th century and back. Like he won't read contemporary shit, which is a shame, but to each their own. He's also a very good-looking guy, Kyle. We should. Yeah.
It's actually because of him that I met my boyfriend.
Kyle?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I need to know what this means.
Yeah, so but when I started my current job, I was living in a different city at the time, not where I currently live.
Right.
And I came here to do our training, which was a week long, and I was staying at my friend's apartment because she lives here, and she lived here before I did. And she was working, she's a nurse, and she was working overnights at the time. So I was just sitting at her empty apartment, just super bored one night, and I saw on the server that he had mentioned a dating app. It was that MBTI dating app, and I was like, you know what? I'm bored. Like I'm not looking to date, but I'm just gonna download this app just for shits and giggles to see what happens. And literally started talking to my boyfriend that night, and we've been dating for a year now.
This is thank you, Kyle. Yeah. This is amazing. You just helped 2 people get laid. That's amazing. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so Kyle, see, he's got his moments apparently. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is proving my theory again and again. So yeah, and he's also he's a very good looking guy, which never hurts. I'm objectifying you. You gotta live with that. And then there's Hork, bless him. Hork is a Russian cute boy. That's what I would call him. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about him. He's a programmer. He helped me a lot with programming.
Just introducing all the characters of this story right now.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is going to be so long. But I'm telling you, we might have to do part 3. And then we have Vanotza. She is Dutch. And her title is the most sensible person on the server. Period. If there was an island of sanity on the server, that was her. And then we had Marjorie. So freaking weird. She's an artist. She's so weird. You see her and she's just weird. She's got this short, just a weird hairstyle and short bangs, really, really short bangs. Piercings everywhere. I think she was a redhead, dyed red hair. Yeah, just weird. I think she's from Germany. And there was Enya. Enya left the server shortly after I joined. I think she was there for a couple of days, not really active when I joined, and then she left. And then there's Emery, bless him. He was, I would say, one of the trolls. We had 2 major trolls on the server. One of them was Emery. The other one was Zane. Now, I got this quote here from Emery. I dug it up because I was going through our old conversations to kind of remember stuff. When Emery was younger, he had 2 hamsters. He named them Elvis and Presley. And one time, well, I think one of them died. I think it was Presley. Presley died. And then
rest in peace.
Yeah, he was keeping according to his story, right? I don't know if it's true. Anyways, he kept the cage on the refrigerator, and apparently he left the door open. So one of them died. The other one went out of Elvis went out of the cage, and then he tried to commit suicide, jumping from the fridge.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he got badly, hurt. And then according to Emery, he drowned him in a bucket of water.
What?
Because he wanted to give him,
What the fuck?
He thought that, he was beyond saving, so he just wanted to give him a clean death. I know.
That's fucked up.
He was a child, though. I don't know if he told me this because he knows that I'm vegan and, like, very adamant about, animal rights and all that. And this is one of the first stories that he ever told me. And he is an edgelord. I mean, again, he is a troll. So I would, take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do remember telling him, though, that what is this bullshit? If this was your child breaking a leg, would you, instead of taking it to a doctor, just off it because it's in pain? Like, what is this? Yeah, we had a lot of interesting conversations, that's how it started anyways. And like one time he said something, and then I responded with, do you know who Jeffree Star is? Do you know who he is?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I responded with a Jeffree Star gif saying, he says, in that gif he says, can't relate. So I sent him that gif, and then he says, do you like Jeffree Star? I said, yeah, but haven't seen anything from him in a while. I have some of his lipsticks and an eyeshadow palette. So he replies, I got my girlfriend his blue blood palette. I said, haha, you're a good boyfriend. And he said, I just like decorative blowjobs. I said, of course, I don't judge art. So he goes, I like performance art.
Oh my God.
That was I had to grab this because this is just, sometimes it's just the essence of them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you, in a moment, you catch a person's essence. That was it. Or like this one time I asked him, what's the most romantic thing you've done for someone? And he said, wear a condom. That was so beautiful. So that's Emery. He is... Yeah, he's a really special one. He was 28 at the time, from England. He's got he probably has the most beautiful accent that I've ever heard. He was born in Ireland, and he moved to England when he was 8. And he was, you haven't seen Peaky Blinders, right?
I've seen the first episode, yeah.
So they have this really prominent accent from Birmingham, right? And they are, I believe, as well. They were like originally Irish, I think. Mm-hmm. And this is really interesting. But Emery's mom is an Irish traveler that she came to England for work when he was a child, and they have a very unique. They're indigenous people, and they have a very unique type of life. Like they're travelers. Obviously, they don't sit in one place for a very long time, and they also got a bit of a reputation. Like the locals don't like him. The locals don't like them.
I think I've heard that before. Yeah.
So just very stereotypical gypsy, bad rep, that sort of deal. And I guess it's more common in Europe because personally I didn't know anything about that. I just kind of started exploring it once he explained to me like what Irish travelers are.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyways, he just has a really nice accent. It was very easy on the ear, I guess, talking to him. And what else? He is tall. He's got dirty blonde hair. The worst dresser you will probably ever meet in your life. Like I've seen the photos. Oh my god, it's so bad, Haley, and especially like you. I know that you love fashion, right? The shit that he would combine,
no,
clashing patterns, ridiculous colors. It was just, I don't know how anyone can go out and be in. It would
probably give me a brain aneurysm, to be
honest.
It
was so bad. It was so bad. But he's an INTP, right? This is the chaos that we're talking about. It just, an INTP in like, just stereotypical as hell. A lot of people there were perceivers and, or like INTPs, a lot of them.
Yeah.
There were some judgers as well, but a lot of them were just very chaotic as individuals.
So these are our characters, mostly.
Yeah. And then there's Persephone. Persephone is Emery's ex-wife. And the mother
Not the ex-wife and baby mama in the server.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. That shit was ugly. I don't know what she looks like, unfortunately. Although he did say that I'm a lot prettier than her. He said his words, not mine. But she did share a picture of them naked in bed. Like, we didn't see everything, but they were covered by a blanket, but they were together in a bed. And
this was shared on the server?
Yeah.
Oh.
She just really wanted to mark her territory. I wonder if she peed on him. but
they weren't together at this time.
No, they weren't. It was so freaking weird. Also, Persephone is like probably the most toxic INFP you will ever meet in your life. She was just a fucking nightmare. And then there's Zane, the other troll. Now, Zane is American, and I think he's from California. He's just a very weird guy. But like the thing is, because there was always a comparison between Emery and Zane. Because they're both like, the mega trolls of the server.
Yeah.
And Zane, Emery is just, he's a really, really weird person, Emery. But he's the kind of weird that you love.
Okay.
At least, me personally. It's the kind of weird that I love. I love people that are this kind of weird. And I can handle a lot of types of weird. But then you have Zane. And Zane's type of weirdness is school shooter vibes.
Oh, no.
Exactly. And I'm not even kidding. Like, people legit said that. Now, my interaction with Zane was very, very weird. Because when we first started talking, we were interacting on the Gen chat, and then I don't remember what it was, but we talked about something, and then either I DM'd him something or he DM'd me something. Probably like a video or something like that, right? Now, Zane was super into movies. Every time anyone would share a GIF that is referenced from a movie, he would know what movie it is and like a lot of stuff about it, like year of release, producer. He's like a walking IMDb,
like a movie savant.
He's like an IMDb person incarnate, right? And he would like send random pictures of his shoes. And I'm telling you, there's something severely wrong with this person. And when we were talking, because the vibe was that we started DMing, and so there's also like this perception in this day and age that if you're DMing someone, that you're like basically a step from fucking or something like that. You know what I mean? And like, I 100% don't subscribe to this type of I don't know what to call it. It was just a weird perception because the fact that I'm DMing you is not saying anything. I could be DMing you just a video that like a song that I want you to listen to.
Just because it's a private conversation doesn't mean it's a
exactly
an intimate conversation.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna show you my boobs.
Right.
But I don't know why people just think that. I guess it's just we've reached such a fucked up point, in the loss of innocence that people's minds just instantly go to that. And to prove it, it's just so fucking weird. The first time that Emery DM'd me, he said, "I can't believe that you DM'd Zayn first." And it's like, what is this? Also, Zayn is 24. Like, he was never, I don't know. It's just like, I never thought of him in any way other than like interaction from one human to another.
Yeah.
So Zayn, it's just really weird. I think that he was adopted because I once asked him about, he looks white, but I once like asked him about his ethnicity, something like that, and he said something like, my predicament is such that I don't know for certain, something like that. I think he was adopted. He grew up with his grandma. He lives with his grandma still, and it was just very weird. Like, you understand that his home situation is not the best.
Yeah.
And he had a younger sister that he didn't live with. So I can only assume that she was living with their parents, right? He's tall, slightly overweight, glasses, pretty, like, average looking, I guess. And he was working at a cell phone store. Like, he was selling cell phones and stuff like that. And he wasn't really studying anything. When I was talking to him at first, I was really trying to kind of motivate him or like give him a sense of direction, because you're 24, you're selling cell phones, and you have no
goals, no ambition, no drive.
Exactly. Like, is this what you're gonna do until you're 40, 50?
Yeah.
So I was kind of trying to talk to him about that. And like, the thing about Zayn is that you are able to hold a serious conversation, but only so far, and then something like shifts, and like a switch goes off, and it's so freaking weird.
Yeah.
So, and another thing that was really weird, when I was talking to him, he would text me around morning time, his time, right? Hey, what's up? Something like that. And then we start talking, and then the conversation dies. And then 3-4 hours later, hey, how are you? And it's like, we haven't, we just did that.
It's like he just forgot that you had a conversation earlier.
Yeah, like his memory resets every few hours. And it's just, when someone asks you, like, you've been talking to this person, and they ask you 4 times a day in different parts of conversation, hey, how are you? As if we just started talking now. It's concerning, I think.
Yeah.
It's not normal. So that's Zayn. It's just super weird. Now, the interaction between Emery and Zayn on the server was that they were trying to out edgelord each other all the freaking time. Now, with Emery, I always had great communication. We would be on voice chat for hours. And I don't even like talking on the phone, to be honest. Like, I prefer to text people. So this kind of connection was really special to me, and the fact that I could talk to someone and like not absolutely hate it was just, it was once in a lifetime thing for me. Like, that is, I'm not even exaggerating. I can't, even people that I like my friends, I don't want to talk to them for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And we were talking for hours and hours straight.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I have very few people who I could just sit and talk with, like, for that long without just, like, having to check out for a little while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know what you mean.
So, also, just an example of, like, how freaking, like, Zayn as a person. So, our interaction was just, it was weird because I was very respectful. I was very respectful with every person on the server. And also, you'll understand later why I'm mentioning this, but whenever I would present myself to a new person, I would never lie. I would always say my real age, where I'm from, what I was doing. Like, I would never lie. And some of the people on the server are just completely incapable of telling the truth, just out of just wanting to be a troll. They won't tell you their real age. They won't tell you what they're doing for a living. It was just weird.
That is very strange.
Yeah. They were just there for entertainment and chaos. And I think that that's what caused the divide. And, like, that was the root of the problem, that some of the people on Gareth's server joined to connect, and some of them just wanted to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
So, like, one time, so what happened between me and Zayn essentially is that I was very respectful. I was talking to him whenever he would DM me, and it would be okay, but then he started being very fucking weird. So I just fucking blocked him. I was like, listen, you can't keep behaving like that. If you're gonna keep doing and saying all these weird things, I'm just gonna block you. And then he would start really, being an asshole. So, like, one time he wrote to me, "You're so uptight. I feel like if you shoved a lump of coal up your ass, you would have a diamond in a couple of weeks, for real. And I love you for it, but have some chill, though." And I literally replied, "Goodbye, Zayn," and then blocked him for probably
goodbye.
Yeah. And then I blocked him for like 6 months or so. He was still on the server. When you're blocking someone on the server, you're able to click on their message is hidden, but you're able to click on it, and then it shows you what they're saying.
Yeah.
But then I would barely click it. Like, I just had no interest whatsoever. Just very weird person. And the thing about Zayn is that I never really liked him. I liked Emery. You know what? I loved Emery. Like, I would go as far as saying I loved him as a person, but with Zayn, something always rubbed me off the wrong way. I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of people agreed that he's just very weird and school shooter vibes.
Based on what you've said, I can see.
Terrifying.
I can see why.
Yeah, so that was Zayn. There was another guy called The Entity. No one knows who he is. It was almost like a mystery. People were always speculating that it might be an alt account of Zayn's or Emery. Personally, I think that it's just I don't know. I think that it was neither. I think that it was genuinely just a very weird person. He would go on these long ass rants, like, I'm talking multi-paragraphs, Haley, of just scary stuff, like scary black pill inceldom stuff about, like, how he struggles to communicate with people, especially with women, all these things. And you can see that this is not a normal person. And then one time Emery was engaging with him and just being very chaotic and pulling his leg and whatnot. And then he was like, The Entity told him about a girl that he likes, that he went on a date with or whatever, and, like, he wanted to take things to the next level. And Emery was like, you know what, you don't need consent, just grab her and, fucking rape her. Oof. And you know what, it's what? Just and the thing about Emery is that he was, once you read him in Gen Chat, he was one thing. He was, a troll on crack. But when you were talking to him on voice chat, it was never, it was coherent. It was fun talking to him. It was fun interacting with him. There was some joking, but it wasn't as insane as Gen Chat.
As what he just said? Because that's pretty fucked up.
It is, but, it's just, the thing is, with these people, they're just looking for buttons. It's not that he actually thought that he was going to go out there and rape someone. But the thing is, The Entity truly felt, at least to me, like he came across almost autistic or something like that. And, if it's someone on the spectrum, they don't necessarily pick up on sarcasm or, you know, any form of exaggeration the way that someone, I don't know what to call it, like a neuronormal, what's it called?
Oh, neurotypical.
Yeah, neurotypical, right. You know, a neurotypical person would be able to pick up on that and be like, oh, he's just a fucking troll. You know what I mean? I'm not actually gonna, because I want to get laid, I'm not actually gonna go out there and rape someone.
I'm kind of afraid of that. I think I know where this is going, and I hope I'm not right.
So I don't know what happened with that, but all I know is that once it did happen, some of us did not keep quiet. I personally remember telling him, listen, you fucking idiot, I think that he is autistic and you can't just say shit like that. And then he was also making, like, one time, okay, so I never mentioned this before, but I will say this now because it's relevant to the story. I am Jewish, and I also kind of keep my faith. So he made in the past, and we were talking about this. We were talking about my lifestyle, like my values, things that are important to me. And I told him that I'm Jewish. I told him that I'm vegan. I told him that, you know, I'm all about animal rights. I don't buy leather. I don't buy makeup that was experimented on animals. All that, you know, all that stuff. And to these people, because they're so cynical and trollish and whatnot, they see it and treat it like ammunition. Because they're looking to push your buttons. And I mean, again, the community at this point was just divided.
Super fucking toxic.
It really is, but I think that it really came down to the group was ultimately divided into people that just wanted to, again, watch the world burn versus people that were really looking to connect.
Yeah.
And that eventually resulted in us starting another server, right? One time, we were talking, a bunch of us, on the Gen chat, texting, not on voice chat or anything. And then he changed his name to Holocaust Denier. This is Emery. And it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to try anyways. I wasn't cool with it. I know for a fact that other people on the chat contacted moderators and told them to fucking ban him and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I also told him, like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? This is not okay. And I knew that he did this not because he really thinks that, you know.
Yeah.
But
he was just trying to.
He was trying to rile me up. And I get it. And because of that, I can honestly say that it was very hard for me to ever be angry with Emery. I don't know if it would be right to say that I had a soft spot for him, but I feel like I could never really truly hold grudges against him. And that's a very dangerous thing as well, because, you know, when you have a person that is trying to, I don't know, push your buttons or, like, you know, test your limits or whatever, and on your part, I don't know, like, also, like, it wasn't something that was true from the get-go. It started being more and more like that the more that we would talk, and the more I get to know him, and just see this other side. Because sure, he was a troll, but then we would have 4 or 5 hours long conversation about real stuff.
It seems like maybe he was just putting on a show for.
That's exactly
in the general chat.
That's exactly how I felt. I felt like in Gen Chat he was like, you know, the circus. He was doing his circus routine, but then when we would actually go on voice chat, he would be a normal human being.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I get it. I get people's need to, I mean, I don't have it as much, but I get it, especially with perceivers, that they're chaotic, and sometimes they're bored people. And, like, also his his situation is that, let's just say, I don't want to say too much about it because we did get pretty personal, and I almost feel like it would not be okay to kind of expose, or like, I don't know if expose is the right word, but like basically say everything about his life situation. But let's just say he wasn't doing much all day long except for reading, drinking, and, you know, going out with friends, whatever. He was in a comfortable position money-wise to be able to do that and not work. So he had hours and hours of sitting, you know, on the computer, trolling or like interacting with people, whatever. I don't know. Emery's just, he's a character for sure. I mean, his favorite novel is Anna Karenina, and he writes poetry.
Would not have expected that, either of those things.
And this is why I'm saying this. His favorite movie is The Notebook. It's just, you know, what are you, I don't know. There's
it's hard to, it's weird. I don't know. That, I can't get past the sexual assault comment, because that is really fucked up. Like,
yeah, well, hold on. There's plenty more.
That paired with his favorite movies, The Nope. I don't know. That's such an odd.
He's a romantic. He really is. Definitely more romantic than me. I can tell you that. Yeah. So, and then there was a guy. We called him Triangle Guy because he never had an alias. He was just
Triangle Guy.
I know, he never had an alias. His nickname would literally be a triangle icon. That was so weird, like an emoji of triangle. It was so weird. Huh. Yeah. But okay, I'm pretty sure he was from California, and he was this giant pothead, like a bunghead. He would randomly, you know, go on voice chat and turn on the video, and then he would show us how he's smoking a bung. It was so freaking weird. Like, he would just random. It was so freaking random.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really funny. And then there was also one time, okay, so I missed all the good stuff, but like one time they were on voice chat, all these people, and like a bunch of them, like 7 people, and Marjorie came on, the weird German girl, right? She came on and she just randomly took off her shirt and showed everyone her boobs. I don't know, it was so freaking weird. But yeah, back to Triangle Guy. He was just, again, really weird, always baked. And then one time in voice chat with Emery and Persephone, I'm time skipping, but I'll go back to her joining, because when I first started interacting with Emery, it was just, she wasn't there. She joined later on, unfortunately. But like later after she joined, there was a huge voice chat, like a bunch of people there. And Triangle Guy also not the most stable. Like, generally speaking, all the people there are just not very stable people.
Yeah.
As you probably gathered. But Triangle Guy was apparently, like, something was going on with him. And then Emery started poking him, saying shit about, like, Triangle Guy was saying something about his cousin, like he mentioned her, and then Emery was like, you have a crush on your cousin? Are you fucking your cousin? I was starting to say all these stupid, fucked up things that are clearly inappropriate. And then it really upset Triangle Guy, and then he started shouting, apparently. People who were there then described it as him just screaming, you know, his lungs out, and saying how everyone should put a gun in their mouth and just commit. Yeah, and just commit. Oh my God. I know. And just commit suicide. And he was just screaming like hell. And then he just left the chat.
What the fuck?
And left the Discord. Now, when I heard about this, I was scared because first of all, gun violence in America, right? Now, in my mind's eye, when something like this happened, I mean, you don't know if this person just went, grabbed his daddy's gun, and then shot himself. Like, you don't know. And people who were in this voice chat, they said that it sounded like he was having a psychosis. Like, that level of crazy. And that really angered me, though, especially like the way, because I understand that Tegan, Emery, and Persephone were really pushing him. And so when I first started talking to Emery in the Gen chat, he was asking me all these questions, you know, how old are you, where are you from, what are you doing in life? So I told him what I do for a living, that I'm studying programming, and he was like, oh really? I also, like, I'm in computers. I have, what was it? I have a degree in computer science, something like that. And then every time we would talk, the narrative would change. That was so weird. Like, one time he'd be in computer science, and then one time I mentioned something and he would say that he's an artist. Like, the story changed all the time. And then I realized this guy's fucking pulling my leg. He's not telling the truth. He's bullshitting. And that really pissed me off because, and this is also, it's not like I'm naive that I don't know that people lie online. I mean, sure, people, this is the internet. Everyone is lying. But because I came into it not lying and always telling the truth, like, I don't really see the point in lying. I don't get it. Especially if, like, dude, you're 21. You're not a 16-year-old who just came across, not even 16, you know, nowadays it's like happening much sooner. But you're not like an 11-year-old boy coming across his first porno on the internet, you know? You're 28 years old. You should be capable and, like, wanting to tell the truth when you're interacting with people. Whatever. So I didn't really suspect. And also, you know, when you're a certain way, you don't think that someone else is. Like, if you're an honest person, you don't think that the other person is a liar.
No, and you wouldn't think that they would have a reason, really, to lie about stuff like that.
Yeah. But I do get it, because, like, later on when we were really talking, you know, he said some things about the way that he's living. He's not really happy with the way that he's living. So it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe like an opportunity to wear a different skin for a while.
Yeah.
I get it. But it was just, I think that overall, like, my situation with Emery was a huge miss, because he started off pulling my leg and I started off, like, really serious. And by the time that we understood that there's something more to it, it was kind of already too late. Because something was broken there, you know. I was just, it was fucked up because it was a lot of bad timing and bad decision making, especially on his part. But so what happened before Persephone joined is that there were a lot of kind of dick measuring contests between Emery and Zayn, and they would try to out-edgelord each other and kind of, you know, being very chaotic in the Gen chat. And moderators would often just get sick of it and then ban them or time them out. And then they would come back with alt accounts, which is even more shitty, because you're kind of trying to figure out who's who and, like, what's going on, and people are changing their names every other day. It's kind of hard to keep up with it, especially when you just want to have a conversation about something real.
Yeah.
So and then Emery was banned for a few good months, and I was probably one of the fewer, like, if not the only person that truly missed him. It was kind of boring with him gone. And yeah, it was just Zayn for a while and all these people. I was still around. I was less active. Didn't really get a lot of good engagement, I guess. And he was just gone. It was kind of boring. And then Gareth decided, so he was moving away from book reviews, as I mentioned, and more into engaging with his audience. So he started doing, and even today, he's still doing a lot of live streams. He's just addicted to interacting with his audience. I get it. It's the failed actor in him. I'm telling you, this guy would sell his grandma for a standing ovation.
So, quick question. He is still making content. Is this is the Discord server still active?
No, he nuked it. He nuked it like way past, he should have killed it a long time ago, but he's an idiot. What can I say? So he was starting to get more and more into live streams and black pill content, incel dome content, and then he decided he was going to do a face rating competition.
Oof.
Yeah, so he asked a lot of his subscribers to just send him via email a picture, right? Some of them sent it. I wasn't going to. But I did tune in for the stream and I was watching it. I think that I joined late or that I was doing something else simultaneously. But at a certain point, he just pulled my picture from Instagram and showed it without my permission.
Oh my God.
I know. Now, I'm usually, I feel like I could have easily looked past it if this was a closed stream. You have the ability to only stream to people that you give them a link. So say if this was on the Discord and he was linking everyone and I knew that the only people that are watching are the people that I actually know somewhat. But it was
a public video.
But it was
public stream.
It was public. I never gave my permission. If I wanted to be on a face rating, then I would just email you the way that other people have.
Yeah.
I don't know why he did it. And to be honest, I never felt like Gareth liked me very much on a personal level. I think that it's because I wasn't really, I was a different kind of bird in the scenery, in the I don't know what to call it. It was just I didn't, a lot of my life views, and I'm very outspoken. I have a spine of steel. I don't know, stood out, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I just felt like he never really liked me. And yeah.
Why did he do this, though? What was the reasoning?
I really don't know. But he rated me a 3.
Wow.
And
what?
I know. And then I was like, what the fuck is this? You just ruined my night. Now, the thing is, the thing about Gareth, when he speaks, it's he's always he will say something, but he's always reserving the right to also kind of take it back. He never fully commits to anything.
Yeah.
So it's it's obvious that he doesn't really think that I'm a 3. But then why don't you just rate me? Of course.
There she is.
84 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 67 degrees.
Right.
All right.
So he rated me a 3. I know for a fact that he doesn't think that I'm a 3. I just don't get what is the game. And
what was his purpose in trying to make you feel bad about yourself?
It's just,
this is fucking stupid.
It feels like these type of men that
it's very immature. Very immature.
It is for a 37-year-old, mind you. This is a reminder.
This is a grown ass man.
Yeah. You know how those I don't know what they're called, but you have all these temptation artists, or I don't know what to call it, but they're basically giving incels advice online, and they're saying,
like the pickup artists.
Yeah, pickup.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I was meaning. So like they're giving incels advice online, making a shit ton of money, and basically telling them that if there's a girl, if you're a 5 and there's a girl who is a 9 and you're into her, what you need to do is insult her, so she thinks that she is. So it kind of felt like that. Like
negging is the term. Like
right.
Negative reinforcement. Yeah.
That's kind of how it felt. I mean, it was just fucking weird. And then he goes, so I commented, right? And he put my comment on the screen, and I said, "You just ruined my night," or something like that. And then he goes, and all of it was kind of jokingly, but also I was trying to understand the reason behind it, like for reals. And then he goes, "You're quite attractive, lady. Women don't get to moan about this stuff."
That sounds like it comes straight from the mouth of an incel.
Right. So weird. So fucking weird.
Okay.
But that's just a tidbit to kind of give you an idea of who Gareth is. What else? So
it sounds like the vibe I get from that is like he was trying to come across as joking, but at the same time you don't have that relationship with him where that kind of thing works.
I mean, I took it. I mean, I took it like a trooper. I didn't, I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't really take it to heart because all of this is kind of. His entire content, like everything that he does is with a smirk, it's not, none of it is like 100% serious. Right. Serious as a heart attack. None of it. And then around that time, I booked a trip to London. And I really wanted to meet him and James. This was the podcast was still going on at the time, and I booked the trip to.
This I did not know. I did not know that you were planning to go there.
Yeah, well, I went there on September 2022. Oh. Yeah, but this is kind of what happened leading up to that, right? So yeah, I booked the trip, and I mean it took some planning, and I was talking about it because I have a friend in Wales. And this friend, I've never met her before, but we've been very good friends, like sharing, personal stuff, like very close, talking every day type of deal, for years. I probably know her for like 6 years now. We're very close. Yeah, we're very close. And she lives in Wales. And I wanted to meet her. But, I've never been to England, and I wanted to meet her in England and not meet her in Wales, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not that, like, I mean, the trip is a bit of a hassle, but it's not terrible because, you can basically go anywhere in Europe via train, right?
Yeah.
Or bus. So, I was talking to James and I was talking to Gareth, and I told them that I am thinking about it. And Gareth was just very fucking weird about it. Now, I understand how it may come across to the normal people, to the normal person, like your average person. A guy, if a woman tells him, "Hey, let's meet up," or something like that. I understand how it might look. Almost like, there's this perception that if two people are DMing, they're fucking they're on their way to,
Yeah.
But that was never my intention, and I specifically also said that we're probably just gonna go grab a drink or like have a coffee or something. So he was just being very weird. I told him that I would love to meet him and James.
Weird, like how so?
In a sense that I think that some things might have been lost in translation because of the cultural thing, because British people, they can come off cold, distant, aloof kind of. But it was just like, because I was telling him that I plan to visit in the summer, but then my friend also who lives in Wales, her best friend was getting married, and it was a huge thing. They had like a party every other weekend for something. Like they had I don't know what to call it, like a shower or like, all these weird things, but like tons of parties one after another. So her summer was pretty packed. So we were trying to figure out how to kind of squeeze that in. But I also wanted to possibly, if I could, sit with him and James. I thought it would be great.
Yeah.
And also, I was probably the closest with James. He was the easiest to talk to. We had a lot of things in common. He was just... I found it very ironic that he was younger than them by over 10 years. And just so much more reasonable and sensible as a person. Like so much more, it sounds terrible, but like so much more together as a person.
Yeah.
He just felt a lot more real than these parodies for people. But yeah, I need to kind of go back to talking also about how the podcast fell apart. But so he was just, yeah. So I told him, this is actually, I'm actually looking at the print screen of our conversation. I told him about James. It's so crazy that you guys never met before because you're living in the same country, and they're only like 2 hours drive apart.
Really?
Yeah. So I said, it's crazy that you guys have never met before, but I'll be the one bringing you two together with that praying emoji. And he said that would be odd, but let's see. I asked why. He said,
yeah, why?
It just, exactly. So I asked why. And he said, it just would be for many reasons, but sounds cool though. But sounds cool too. I said, no, I want to know. And then he started kind of being like, he wouldn't give me a straight answer when I said why. He said, I don't got time, ask James.
Huh. All right,
it's
actually,
just, dude.
Is this like foreshadowing for the rest of the story?
Is this what?
Is this foreshadowing for the rest of the story?
I don't know.
It kind of feels like it.
He's just a very fucking... is this a normal reaction? I'm genuinely asking you, right?
I don't know. It seems very odd.
It is. So after that, he asked, when are you flying? I said, it really depends on when she can meet up. She's got this wedding and she's maid of honor and all that crap. Plus, when is it ever a good time weather-wise in London? Because I want to go places, but I'm dreading the thought of carrying an umbrella everywhere. And then he said, sounds like never then really, with a laughing emoji. Now, when you're saying something like that, it doesn't, it doesn't feel like you're actually interested.
Yeah.
In meeting the person. Now, there's a connection there as for why I'm bringing this up. A lot of the black pill shit, right? He would go on endless rants about the endless disconnect and how people no longer talk to each other. People no longer meet. Everyone is with their faces stuck inside their, cell phones and computers. And, people don't know each other's names anymore. It's just, everything.
This is all very ironic.
Exactly.
Considering the Discord.
Exactly. So, you have all these arguments about the endless disconnect and how people don't meet anymore. But then I'm telling you, listen, let's just sit for a cup of coffee. I will be...
And he's like, well...
evasive as fuck.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now, I'm the queen of introverts. So I fucking get it. But at the same time, it's like... I don't know. I feel like sometimes you just... And I mean, you know what? If the situation was in reverse and like a man would say this to me, then I would be worried meeting a stranger, just because I would be worried that they would end up being a psychopath or something like that, and that I would get murdered. But if it's a woman kind of telling you, that it's not as scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just very weird. And so months after that, so I flew in September. It was a great trip. Loved it. Uploaded pictures on my Instagram. He liked those pictures and never said anything, right? And then around November, we were on the Discord, a bunch of people. Now, he was almost never around, almost never writing anything. Very rarely would get on voice chat, but the few times that he was on voice chat was Sunday morning, I guess. And so one time, this was in November, so like a few months later, we were on voice chat, and then he joined, and he randomly throws me in the middle of a conversation. You came to London and didn't even say anything, prancing all over London.
What?
Yeah, and then someone was already talking over him. I did manage to respond, though, barely, that I got the impression that he didn't want to see me at all. And again, I don't know if this is a cultural thing lost in translation, because I know that British people, they have their own, like their nuances are very refined and might be misinterpreted, especially like me. I come from a very direct culture, but I'm also a very direct person. So it's a combo of like my personality and the way that I socially, like, I was brought up.
So you did not see him at all while you were there?
No, and I felt like he didn't want to. So
did he reach out and message you at all while you were there?
No, that's the thing. Like, how, you know what I mean? Like, I just, you know what? I think that if you really want to do something, you just do it. So bottom line, no, I don't think that he really wanted to meet me.
No.
But, you know, if you want to do something, you just do it. But if you don't want to do it, then you're looking for an excuse. So whatever. Yeah. But it's just, it all brings me back to the thing that, like, you can't be complaining about feeling like, you know, and like there was genuinely no intent behind it other than just, you know, sitting with someone who is a writer, a reader, and, you know, just a person that I really kind of agreed with a lot of his opinions, you know, a lot of the things that he was saying. I just thought it would be interesting. That's it. Like, there was nothing more beyond that. But, you know, it is what it is. And it was just very weird. Like, his reaction, the way that it all happened, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, you guys, I'm going to stop here because this is a long-ass story. But, yeah, just stay tuned for part 2 and probably part 3. And I guess now we will talk about our Rex and what pissed us off this week, right?
Yes.
So, do you want to start?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, you're going to be doing your recommendations, and I'm going to be maybe doing what pissed me off because, Yeah. So, I don't know if I would necessarily say this pissed me off this week, but, just kind of, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what the right word is. Here's the thing. I live in Chicago, and, I commute to work every day, pretty much. I work 5 days a week. Lately, I haven't been as much because my friend and I, we work basically the same shift, so I've been just riding with her to work. But I'm kind of glad because I don't know what's going on in Chicago right now, but there has been a huge uptick in violent, like, things happening on public transportation.
Oh my God.
There was a triple or quadruple, I don't remember. I think it was 4 people were murdered on the train, literally.
Oh my God.
At the beginning of this week.
Like all in one incident?
Yeah. A guy,
my
it was
God.
like, I think it was on Labor Day, so last Monday, yeah, I guess it was a week ago now. Got on the train at like 5:30 a.m., shot like 4 sleeping homeless people on the train, and then just got on another train like it was
Jesus.
nothing. And then they arrested him on the other train. Like things like that happened. I've seen a couple other instances lately. Somebody else got shot outside of a train station that's only one stop away from the one that I get on at. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
It kind of makes you not wanting to ever go on a train
No.
again.
I mean, I already was nervous taking public transportation because I've seen some shit on there.
Yeah.
So I've only lived here a year and I've already seen so much, but this is really why it pisses me off and why I'm mentioning it here is because the city, it seems like they're doing nothing about it. The guy who's in charge of public transportation in Chicago, he like addressed it very briefly, and then that's it. Like, they're not making any changes. They're not funding public transportation. They're not trying to do anything to prevent violence. They have security cameras on the trains, but it's not a live feed. It's literally just like a video recording that they can go and look at later. Like, nobody's monitoring. They don't have actual paid cops that are at the stations or in the trains. They have these like third-party people that the city hires, and they literally do jack shit. If something happens on the train, like you get harassed or somebody's, being weird or violent, they can't do anything. They can do nothing. They're like, okay, sorry, like, I'll take a note that it happened, but they can't do anything.
I'll take a note that it happened.
Yeah,
Right.
they like, a lot of the times they don't even seem like they call the authorities when something happens. It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
I don't know what's going on in the world. It just feels like things are going to shit,
They are.
Without getting into politics. I feel like your personal safety or like sense of safety is just like, how do you go outside?
Yeah, I know. You shouldn't, and I see on Reddit a lot people say like, oh, I'm from New York, and like we even have cops that patrol the trains in case something happens, or like we have actual security, where here in Chicago there's nothing.
I don't know about the crime rate, New York compared to Chicago, like the crime rates and whatnot, but I do know that the situation is pretty fucking bad in New York. So I'm just thinking to myself, why does it have to get so bad? Why the situation has to get so bad in order for them to have police, stationed there, like take all these measures? How about we try to prevent these things from happening so we don't reach, so we don't reach rock bottom and then have to start coming up with solutions. Let's go with a preventative attitude instead of, waiting until, fucking Elmo is on fire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just...
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. That's what pissed me off this week.
I hear you. I agree. What pissed me off, what pisses me off is the weather. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go on a long ass rant, but
is it hot still?
It's so hot, so fucking humid. I'm just done with it. Like, can it please be spring and I don't even want winter, because I know that animals suffer, in the winter time outside, but can it just be spring and fall all year round, please?
Yeah,
I love
agree.
I love the wardrobe. The weather is nice. It's good for the animals. It's just
yeah, fall's really not wanting to come in here. I think today was still 85 was the high.
It's just not okay. I mean, we're in September.
No.
This is mid-September. We're in mid-September, please.
I'm ready for like 60, 65 degree weather is perfect.
100%.
Just give me that.
Yeah, this is why, when I'm traveling, I love Europe, but when it's too rainy, it sucks. I love the winter wardrobe, but having to carry an umbrella, everywhere, it's...
I will disagree with you there, because I love rainy weather. I don't necessarily love, obviously, being out in the rain, but...
I mean, personally, I love it when I'm indoors and like I'm reading. You get that cozy feeling, but it's just I don't know. When you have to get out, it sucks. When you have to get out, it sucks.
I mean, if it's light rain and I have an umbrella with me, like, I'm totally fine being outside. I don't want to be out in a downpour, obviously.
Yeah. it's pretty for the aesthetics, but it's less practical when you have to actually live in the real world. Anyways, my recommendations, people, and like stuff that I've been up to, I guess. So I finished reading The Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov. I feel like I'm in my classic Russian lit era. I don't know why we brought this on. I'm gonna read Anna Karenina.
I also kind of want to read Anna Karenina. I've seen the movie with Keira Knightley.
I haven't seen the movie. I'll watch it after. I'll watch it after I'll read the book. But I'm gonna think about Emery the whole time. Not gonna lie. I have high hopes, but I'm low-key scared to be disappointed because I read The Death of Ivan something from Tolstoy, and I just thought I DNF'd it, and I rarely ever DNF anything. But it was just so fucking boring, and it's also a short story. It's not like a 600 pages masterpiece. It's very short, and it was just insufferable. So, but I do have high hopes. So like I feel like I'm giving authors a pretty fair chance. Like so I read The Heart of a Dog. I previously read The Master and Margarita.
Oh, I bought that recently.
You will have to read it, and I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts because it was hysterical. It was so fucking funny to me, and like I love Russian culture and Russian humor. But let me just in a nutshell, it's the summary is as follows. In the early days of the Soviet Union, a mad scientist implants a human pituitary gland into a stray dog and accidentally turns him into a man. The pituitary gland thing is apparently it's a pea-sized thing like in our brains. So he removed that from a human skull and then put it to the dog. And in Heart of a Dog, Mikhail Bulgakov uses this fictional experiment as a metaphor for what he sees as the failures of the Russian Revolution and communist Bolshevik government. Just as the professor's unruly experiment upends his life, Bulgakov suggests that the Bolsheviks destroyed Russian society through their unruly communist experiment in social equality. Now, I will say one thing when I was reading it, especially towards the middle and the end of it, I was starting to get some Frankenstein vibes of like, just don't fucking mess with nature, you know? Just don't do it. But I highly recommend it. It's also a pretty short read. It's like half of Master and Margarita, maybe even less.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good one. Crazy though. It's chaotic, you know? It's one of those chaotic tales that I feel like not everyone will like, but if you're down for a crazy ride, then do it.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm currently reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Have you read it?
No.
Oh my goodness,
I have
it's so perfect for this season. Read it now. I'm telling you, it's so perfect for this season. I'm looking for my fall read, so you should
a short list of fall reads. I haven't been reading much lately, to be completely honest.
It's a very long read, but it's pretty easy. I know some classics are just not easy reads, but this one, classics are almost always it takes them a long while to start because, you know, nowadays where everything's very instantaneous, you want to get to the point real quick. But back then, I mean, Dostoevsky was paid for the word. So no wonder that we have, you know, these thick ass books. But it was just different, you know, even letter writing, you know, when people would get letters, you see it, they took their sweet time. So Jane Eyre is definitely like, it takes a while to kickstart, but it's an easy read in the sense of like the way that it is written. Like it's not, you know, like terribly
it's not wordy.
And it's not, I don't know. I feel like it aged well. Let's just say that. So, and again, perfect for the season, the way that it's described. I prefer Emily's Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is probably one of my favorite all-time novels.
Yeah.
It's just a masterpiece, but yeah. So I'm reading it. I'm enjoying it. I'm only like not even 30% in, but after that, like I'm definitely on a classics roll. So I think after that I'm gonna read Anna Karenina, and I'm gonna read The Count of Monte Cristo.
Both are extremely long.
I know, yeah. It's gonna be, but I do have side reads because I tend to read 2 at a time, and 2 that are very different as well. So either I'm gonna start Elon's new biography, or maybe just read something light and stupid, like a spicy romance, something shitty like that on the side when I just need to, because I mean this is heavy material.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and I can't do just one book at a time. I can't anymore.
I did recently order the book Surrealist Love Poems, which I think was recommended by Dakota Warren. I'm going to read that, which I'm excited about. But other than that, yeah.
She's got a very good taste.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited to read it.
What about Henry Miller? Because I'm supposed to be getting his book soon.
Oh, yeah. I have to order. Yeah. That's going to be a future episode.
Yeah. So yeah, Jane Eyre. And I've been watching American Horror Story Cult.
Yeah.
I'm just, we're going to talk about Evan Peters. We have to. We cannot finish this episode without, mentioning him. But so the what's good about this series is that the seasons are not interconnected. Like you have every season is kind of a standalone story. But they do use the same actors over and over again, just for different characters.
Yeah, is it technically considered like an anthology series, possibly? Because
I think so.
They're loosely connected. They're all set in the same universe.
Yeah, I think so. And first of all, like I think that no one plays a psychopath better than Evan Peters. And he does a very good job at it. He does play a lot of dark characters. He's just so delicious. I don't know what it is about him. But he plays Kai Anderson. That's the character's name. He's got blue hair, long blue hair. And he plays an INFJ cult leader. I'm just going to put it out there. And in episode 5 or 6, one of the characters, because he manipulates all of the characters. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think it was episode 6, one of the characters describes him and their relationship and what drew her into the cult. This is funny because I almost got sucked into a YouTube cult, and we're talking about American Horror Story Cult.
It's come full circle.
I know, it's beautiful. And I swear to God, I did not plan this. This entire episode is just one giant Freudian slip. So she talks about the character. She talks about what drew her into the cult, what he gave her, because he just knows how to push every person's buttons. It's truly amazing. And I felt, when I saw this, first of all, flashbacks from the war in Vietnam, at least for me. I was thinking about my INFJ person and the way that I felt seen all the fucking time and all that good shit. This is, what a terrible, terrible personal brand of heroin that gets you exactly what they want, where they want you. And it just shows, like, INFJs are fucking dangerous. I'm telling you, they just are. And yeah, I think that it really, like, his character really shows that their superpower, because it is a superpower. They can be the perfect human whisperer. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like, in general, the themes of this season are just, I highly recommend it. And so I watched the first season and I loved it. I watched the second season. I didn't love it as much. Yeah. And then it kind of hurt my motivation to keep watching it. But then, you know, for a very long time now, before I started this season, it's season number 7, I was seeing all these gifs and scenes, you know, of Kai Anderson, Evan's character, and all reading about it, kind of, you know, kind of trying to tread carefully away from spoilers, but I was really intrigued, and I was like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take a major leap over the rest of the seasons, just get to season 7. And, you know, it hasn't disappointed. It's so good. So yeah, if you're out there and you're into horror, but the kind of horror that makes you think, it's very Black Mirror type.
Yeah.
If you're into it, then just seriously check it out. It's so good. Cool. So yeah, that is it. Stay tuned for the next episode. I actually don't know how many parts this is gonna end up being, because I just have a lot of thoughts about this about this crazy, I don't know what to call it. It was a crazy roller coaster. But yeah.
We haven't even gotten to like the,
I know, we haven't even scratched the surface and we're already at like 112 minutes. Jesus. Okay, people, so thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.